Let's talk more about this now with a former chairperson of Scopa, Themba Godi, who's joining us tonight on News at Prime. A very good evening to you, sir. Welcome to the program. Having chaired Scopa, and I wonder what your take is, given the growing list of allegations of corruption at Eskom, the confusion around the now controversial privately funded intelligence report, who saw it, who did not get to see it, and the veracity of its claims. What can the committee actually do about the situation at this point?
Thanks very much for having me. Indeed, watching the proceedings yesterday and today was really a cause for concern, because you see officials appearing before Parliament and saying a lot of nothing. Firstly, in terms of their responsibility towards clean governance, and secondly, their responsibility towards ensuring that we keep the lights on in the country. There's been a lot of talk, but there isn't anything substantive that we can pick out and say the country is now the wiser in terms of the challenges that were there at Eskom. It's almost like a rugby ball being thrown from one player to the other without anyone taking ultimate responsibility for the mess that we're in, and also responsibility in terms of doing what they're supposed to do, from law enforcement right up to the board of Eskom.
And was the rater wrong to agree basically to commissioning an investigation that would, for all intents and purposes, be funded by business through Business Unity South Africa? Was that the wrong decision to make, given that there are law enforcement agencies who now sit here and tell Parliament that they had no idea that such an investigation had been undertaken, and B, when the findings were put together and shared with people like Andre de Ruyter, they were not informed or kept abreast of developments?
Very true. It looks like this intelligence report was very much a private matter of Andre de Ruyter. Unless, of course, his senior management committee meetings, we would say that he shared it with them, but not sharing it with the board, I think was very wrong. If indeed the problems of corruption at Eskom are caused by what the reports have found, surely he should have run to the board and said, finally, we've put our finger on the pulse of why were the challenges that we're having. For him not to do so and to only talk about it more candidly on his way out, I think it smacks of a sinister motive. However, I must say that I think looking for intelligence information, there is nothing wrong with it. But going out to look for such capabilities outside the state, and having it being privately funded and not resolved through the board of Eskom and utilizing the available state capacity is very wrong. It's even worse when you find that the lead investigator is a racist, Tony Oosthuizen, who referred to black people as monkeys and all sort of negative things to say about them. When you get the kind of report that has come out that paints such a bleak picture, you wonder whether are we dealing with facts or are we dealing with racist fantasies of this gentleman, and why did the rater agree for such a character to lead such an investigation? What commonality of values or perspective does the rater share with Tony Oosthuizen? So it just muddles the works from the former chair, Professor Makhoba. That Makhoba, actually, it was Minister Pravin Gordhan who whispered the idea of an intelligence, process to the rater, who said to him, well, you need to do this, but then left the implementation to him. Did he inform him that finally acquired the capacities? And when the report was out, did he share it with the minister or funded by business leadership of South Africa? What did he say? well, I suppose maybe these are questions that will come next week, so that we finally can, when you have all the role players, you can, as we like to say, connect the dots and see exactly what has happened.
And I may have said earlier that the report was funded by BUSA. It was, in fact, BLSA, Business Leadership South Africa, that is said to have paid or funded the investigation. You mentioned the Public Enterprises Minister, Gordhan. He's due to appear, as our reporter was saying, also before Scopa in the coming days to talk about the various allegations at Eskom. When he gave an interview to us at Newzroom Afrika, he said that the Director had spoken to him about corruption, but that he couldn't go public, for instance, with the name of a politician who's said to be involved in the saga. That aside, how well or how badly has Gordhan presided over Eskom as a state-owned entity, as the shareholder representative over the last few years?
Well, I think, my brother, we need to confront the simple reality that Gordhan has failed hopelessly and miserably. He has a good PR team. There's always this narrative around it, but the facts are not there. Look, when he came in as minister, the energy availability factor at Eskom was around 70%, and that's why we had electricity. The board was removed, management was changed, and we are where we are today. And today, Eskom cannot be able to quantify the number of irregular expenditure in its books. That is why you had that controversial application for Eskom not to report in their financial statements instances of irregular expenditure and losses because of expenditure.
Former Chairperson of Parliament Standing Committee on Public Accounts, Themba Godi, thank you so much for your time. Apologies for the poor quality of our connection to Themba Godi. It's become a norm, unfortunately. Why? Because of load shedding, which is among the issues at Eskom, sadly.